So today will be back day in addition to my themed vlog. So I say ahead of time, excuse the rubbing on the mic. Back day for me is probably one of my favorite days because back development was always tougher for me. It's a major muscle, so I've always worked in pull-ups and stuff like that. So I know I'm feeling good today, but I think, and this is just my own personal conspiracy theory about myself and my fitness and all that stuff. I think, man, I got two major levels of pain or injuries, and they just move around my body every time I rehab and recover something. So if my back is a little stiff, do my stretches, maybe cold shower, red light feels better, then the pain just be like, all right, let's dip up out of here for a little bit, go to the shoulder. Right now I got a pinched nerve in my neck, but it's doing well. But I know it's because some shrugs I was doing. I just happened to look the wrong way. When you get older, there's that. I don't know about y'all. If you in the weightlifting game, just in general, something might happen. I ain't trying to jinx nobody, but yeah, today's theme is the differences between when I was bigger or obese or fat, depending on what offends you. Just pick one. I was 302 pounds, 27, 28 years old, versus to when I got it in check. Meaning, I just took back control. I don't think there's a magic pill. I think there's lots of methods and processes you can use, but it's up to you. And I'm real big on just keeping promises to myself and not lying to myself, but I had to take back control, and it started with me, man. I was just tired. I think that's what happens for some of us. You just know. And then it just becomes like a gauntlet of every day you feeling that way about you. And I know these seem like they're on repeat, but that's what self-development progress is. It's a constant game of repeat. So I talk about health because I do believe it's wealth, not just in the financial aspect. I do believe it's wealth and just in general, in your relationships, in your actions towards whatever you're doing. It is a level of wealth. And I'm not going to say it's crazy because I lived it. I lived in that space to where I used to glamorize the worst things for me. And I think I would put that glamorization bow on it because it was just, better than facing it, right? Everybody else is doing it. This person ain't had an issue yet from doing this. And if they did, I ain't that bad. So, and heart disease, I don't know about nobody else, man, but that stuff scares me, how it's the constant leading cause of death and everything that falls up under that. It's the GOAT. So when we be out here talking about GOAT Jordan, GOAT Montana, GOAT your favorite rapper, whoever that is, we know the stats. We'll argue. We keep quiet about heart disease. And what's the craziest thing is that, there are things we can do to decrease the number of deaths, and we just don't. And instead we glamorize, and we know and we see stuff, man. We out here drinking 1,000-calorie, 500 grams of sugar coffees and cookies, and it's because it's trendy. When living a quality life should be trendy, right? Am I wrong for thinking that? And it's just I just try to share awareness. Nothing that I do is what I think anybody should do. You should find your thing. Like I say, I'm a lower carb person for my reasons, not for body composition. But some people, they just like to fight, man. When you got to do this and you won't have this much energy, how you know what I got? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's the thing, man. Just awareness. Share awareness. Because that saves lives, man. Awareness saves lives, not thick thighs, man. Ain't nobody ever been hanging off a cliff and somebody be like, grab my thigh. It's awareness. And if you see something, I think, because I used to just scroll and I would see something that the message was enough for me to look at it again or maybe save it. If this is that, cool. And if it ain't, cool. So I always start off my back day with some pull-ups. The one thing I like about this joint is it got the little rock climbing joints. I don't know if you see them. So I'm real big on forearm grip and strengthening that because I do a lot of typing, man. You muscular dude, that's all I'm sitting at the computer. Like, so I don't want to have like carpal tunnel and stuff, issues like that. So it helps me with my forearms, man, and wrist strength. Get your mind out the gutters, fellas. But yeah, I just usually start out with these. Goal is always 8 to 12. Sometimes it's 8, sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 12. More often than not, it's 8. Excuse the rubbing if you do hear that. I love pull-ups because it's the ultimate stretch. And I couldn't do them at one point in time. Oof, that's a good one. Another side note, and I know I do a lot of side notes. If you notice, I always got my stuff playing in the background. It's not because I'm just so egotistical. It's because maybe if somebody did come across this, because usually I'm watching like Disney Plus or whatever, man. I'm like on my Brooklyn Nine-Nine bag right now, but you know, I don't want nobody else seeing their stuff on there if they didn't want to be put on there, if I don't know them like that. So if you notice why I have mine, because they're longer form videos, so by the time I get through this, you know, it's just gonna keep going. I got a few of them in there, but this right here is not a contraption, but you know, I always wanted like a row. I like to do a lot of chest supported rows because of the disc, but also do like single arm rows. And then, you know, I had got the landmine joint from Rep, and it ties into the Black Widow cart. And those are 125 pounds a piece, so I ain't going nowhere. But I can always speak from the perspective of a bigger and how I am now. And I just speak to my differences. I can't like speak for society or anything like that. My emotionally, mentally, so like my self-esteem and all that in there, you know, black and white, night and day. Physically, black and white, night and day. Even financially, there were certain situations to where I lost out on opportunities, or things could have been a lot worse. Because you gotta remember, I was in the military during all this time. I ain't trying to go against what people might think, and I understand that in the military it's just different. Everybody got different stuff going on. But I knew when I went into that recruiter, you know, I rose my right hand when I went to MEPS that there was a fitness requirement that I was supposed to meet. I knew that, and I knew I was supposed to adhere to that while in. Does that always happen? No. Did that always happen? No. But I knew that. I knew that signing up for that job. Like these, they get a real good stretch, man. So mentally, emotionally, self-esteem, I came from a different situation, meaning I said before, I was in good shape when before I had gained that weight. So that puts you in a different place mentally. And if you're not ready to face that, you know, I was doing everything I could to just blame my environment for the decisions I was making when it was on me. Because the constant reminder is you got yourself in good shape. You got yourself in bad shape. And even though I tried to, you know, well, this is why I made the decisions that I made, I knew. I knew I shouldn't have been doing that stuff. And as I say, speaking for myself, it was a level of disappointment, embarrassment. I was ashamed of myself because I knew I had did it. At the end of the day, once you start doing things that are harmful to you, it's a moment in there, even though life can be the toughest. When you're sitting there eating that stuff that you know, because 5 seconds after you eat it, your dopamine then pulled you to the table or had you go get that food or that drink, whatever your vice is, you know, I'm doing this. And I was starting to get to that point to where I knew. So it's one thing to be in shape and then, you know, get out of shape. And it's not coming. Yeah, I was a skinny teenager because I was active, but it ain't like, okay, I was skinny, then I got fat, Then I started putting on muscle. No, I was in great shape before I got fat. So I was in that the physique that I ideally wanted. And it was just embarrassing and it was disappointing, and I was projecting that energy. It like early on, man, 2002 to 2004, before I got to Virginia in 2005 and I broke this hand, I'm right-handed, and all of it just started. I was like, hey, man, we picking girls up in the club, man. Them Luke songs, taking our shirt off down and TJ wilding out. Because, man, I earned that body. I did. And I earned that body, and it's just like money. You earned the money at work and then you waste it. You waste the money on something you really had no business wasting it on. That's how I was with my body, but it's a longer form of getting back, right? I earned that body and then I wasted it because everything that happened to me was somebody else's fault. And I chose to, just my actions contributed to that. And I did. That took some change. And I wish I could tell people it was like an overnight thing. Unless it is, and it was like a health issue. But if it wasn't for that kidney stone in Afghanistan, man, I don't know if I would have ever lost that weight. Because the way that my mindset was, man, I don't know. I don't know about y'all, but my insecurities ran a little different. My insecurities are, it still happens to this day. This is what I think about myself, so other people must be thinking it as well. It's like it echoes, but I feel bad because you thinking about me, what I'm thinking about myself, when in reality, everybody got their own stuff going on. All the folks ain't worried about y'all unless they are, and they fall in the troll, hater, naysayer category. You shouldn't be around them anyway. But some of these people you think that are judging you probably ain't. They're probably like me. Like when I used to go to the gym and I'm looking in a direction, I gotta wear glasses. I can't see. I'm like Mr. Magoo out here. And if I'm looking in a direction, you think I'm looking at you, I'm not. I'm just probably thinking about my next movement. That's how people are in their lives, man. They probably ain't worried about you, but I'm thinking that. I'm thinking everybody clocking because I'm doing stuff I knew I shouldn't have been doing. I remember I was a command fitness leader, like ticking up to 300 pounds. I am in charge of people's fitness tests and weigh-ins, and that will in turn dictate how far they go in their career, or if they're able to put on that next pay grade or whatever, depending on how many fails they had, if they can stay in the military. Me. And I wasn't in standards. But because it was a supply department thing, and I'm working for the overall chief that was in charge of it, he didn't want no dealings with it. Man, SH2 workout, he can do it. But I'm sitting there during like a fitness test and I'm just reading off the instructions and stuff. And I'm kind of like reading off and scanning the room. And I can see people's faces. Like they be standing behind people like this. And I'm assuming they're like, man, why is he? Because I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing that. You know what I'm saying? How is he in charge of my career? Because of the nature of my job, I used to use that in order to get what I wanted from people. I was a pretty good barber at the time. These boys out here be doing magic. They got portfolios and stuff. But I was a good barber at the time. And we had access on the ship store, laundry, all that stuff. And I knew who the command fitness leader was that was inputting my scores. I would go to him. Well, you need a cut? Let me know if you need something. Man, all this stuff that I used to do in order to manipulate that. And then I would somehow, and I told this story before, like I say, some of these are on repeat, but people struggle with this stuff. I would somehow get that score that was fake. I knew it was fake. That person knew it was fake. Everybody around me knew it was fake. There's a lot of haters in the building. You got people that you advance and they'll congratulate you to your face. Man, I knew you were gonna make it. And behind the scenes, that was cut me for me. People probably thought that, right? Knowing that I was out of shape. How's he the fitness leader? How he get this eval? How did he pass his weigh-in? I asked myself that. So he would put in that fraudulent score, and then I would be so happy that I made it, because it was like every 6 months. that I made it. And then I would go reward myself. What am I rewarding myself for? I did nothing but lie. When you're not where you need to be, like physically, and you're around people that will either call you out in a good way, you know, because they'll pull you aside because they care about you, or they'll call you out in a bad way, meaning you talking to somebody, y'all get mad, next thing you know, they're gonna call you fat. I remember I used to be talking to girls, man, and it would get kind of choppy. They'd be like, man, I don't even know why I mess with your fat behind. I'm like, God, dog. You must have had that one in the chamber. So that can hit your mental, emotional. Like, they knew I was like this and they still rock with me. I do seated face pulls sometimes. It's just tougher. But once you're able to change it, those are just examples, right? Once you're able to change it, that's what made me start wanting to share, man. Cause I'm like, man, somebody might be able to relate. Many probably won't, but I know somebody probably going through this. And I started seeing it. I started seeing examples of stuff, man. I remember when I had got my personal trainer cert in 2013. And I got it because I didn't want to do command PT no more with them folks, man. They would have us go out in a circle and we would have to run in a group. That was painful for me, man. Nothing against like camaraderie and stuff, man, but it's just like and it's not me being better, but if I'm working hard every day to do this, especially removing myself from what I was, and I have to be placed in the same group with people that don't even care about it, that's going to hinder my growth, which is, you know, depending on how you see that, right? But, you know, I got my personal training cert because I'm thinking, okay, if I get this cert and I come up with a way not to have to do command PT, they'd be like, he's serious about it. That ended up shooting me in the foot because then they start making me be the fitness leader. You're a fitness leader. All you got to do is go to the CFL course. You're already a certified trainer. So in 2014, I got called up to she was a HM, a corpsman chief. And she's like, hey, I want you to be the CFL for supply department. I said, no, thank you. She said, I'm not really asking. I already talked to your senior chief. I said, all right, well, I appreciate the consideration. When do I start? Right? And I started seeing people doing the same things that I did, man. But I also saw that some people were able to get away with stuff, man. And that's like this is like behind the curtain, but it's stuff that you see that you know is wrong, but man, I ain't touching that, right? Pause. But it was this one dude. So I went up there to do like our weigh-ins and stuff for supply. And then I was up there. She came up there. She said, hey, SH1, can you help out air department? Because they're missing the CFL. We were like the two biggest departments. I said, yeah. It was this one dude that I knew because he used to always come to the ship store. Bigger dude, looked just like I did, but he was just shorter back when I was bigger. And he came in there, weighed them in, and, you know, I don't know what they do now, but you could literally just, you know, suck your waist in, kind of, stick your neck out, and it would add up. And we're in the back, and his CFL, I'm just watching. He's allowing him to do this like 4 times. Just suck it in more, suck it in more. He's holding the tape. It was a struggle. He wasn't within standards, but that was the game, right? So we finished up. I went down back to the ship store. Even though I had my office, I would go in the ship store and just kind of hang out with the sailors, man. There was like a shelf that I would sit on. But depending on which angle you walked in the store, you wouldn't be able to see me on that shelf. Dude came down to the store and he was like chopping it up with the ship store operator. And I'm about to say her name. I don't like saying names. And she was like, hey, how you doing? He's like, I'm good, man. I just got good news, man. I just passed my weigh-in. I'm about to celebrate. He put all this junk up on that counter. And I stood up. He saw me and I was going to walk out. And then he kind of looked like it was guilt. And I looked at him and I just kept walking out. But that look we gave each other was like me looking at me. It was like fat me looking at me. That guilt, man. You know you didn't earn that weigh-in score that you got. And you're about to make it worse. And then we're going to be in the same situation, if not worse, 6 months later. Crazy, right? But I often do wide grips. For whatever reason, I keep my thumbs out. I told you I'm big on forearm. Strength. You heard that popping, man. That's my elbows, man. It sound like popcorn. The physical. Ooh, the physical. I don't care what nobody tell you, because I can only speak for me. But like the stuff that comes with the physical downside of just being bigger, having more body fat, visceral fat, I can only tell you that it impacted me, man, in a negative way. And I knew it. And I knew it because I had to go to my appointments, right? Like in the military, you got to go for what's called like birth month recall. So every year around your birthday or around that month, you got to go in. And you don't do your birth month recall and you don't get that paper signed off, you can't do what you had planned. Maybe you're trying to go on leave or whatever. So you had to do that. You had to do it before you transferred or whatever, especially if the holidays was coming up, you was about to go on leave. So I was going in there and my blood work was all messed up. Now that's the documented side of it. The physical side, setting aside my emotions and my, the mental, I knew I was more tired because I was in great shape before. So I knew there was a drastic change in my energy level. I couldn't do regular things, man. I couldn't just, when you go to work in the morning on the ship, you got to walk up the brow, the whole ladder wheel up the brow, man. I would be tired. And if I'm with somebody and, I get tired, I'm like gonna crack a joke and act like I'm tying my shoe. I'm tired. This is late 20s. So there was that. There was, that's when they put me on that cholesterol medication that I wasn't taking. That's when I was lying about how much I was drinking. I was just saying socially. It was just a lot of stuff that I was doing. And I would just try to mask it out. I'm doing this stuff. And it's not just, the emotional, mental side of it that is harmful to me. It's the physical side now. It's the physical stuff that I'm doing. Like I told you, I had the conversation with my grandfather. And it was a rare occasion that I had called him. And then they asked me, did it run in my family? I called him. Found out we was on the same medication. And he later passed from like heart issues. But I still didn't really change at that point, which was crazy work, right? So yeah, when people say health at all sizes, you can't look at somebody and think that they're out of shape. I can tell you by looking at me at that time, if you assume that I was out of shape and my health was off, it was. I know what social media is telling you, and I get it, I guess, but nah. I was definitely, at my worst during that time. This is another, I got all the stuff that I want in here, but attachments, man, I'll stay buying a new attachment doohickey. But yeah, I knew, and I just kept on doing stuff. And then I know I would keep like an ace in the hole, because if I knew somebody that had like a real bad heart situation, maybe a heart attack or a stroke. I remember we went on one deployment. This was like down the line. This was on the Peleliu. The day we was leaving for that deployment, dude, this dude in supply department had a stroke. And everybody was like, man, at least he ain't got to go on deployment. Like, I don't know what happened to the dude later, but he might not even have full control of his bodily functions in the future. You talking about deployment? Just give me the deployment, yo. So I'm going in there knowing that when I go to these appointments, my blood pressure gonna be high, because it's already high, and it's gonna be higher because you asking me what I'm doing to keep it high. White coat effect. And then you ask me if I'm drinking and I'm lying, but they can't really nudge you too much. At that point, it's on you. Like, they gotta see a lot of people that's just on that foolishness. I call it foolishness. Don't be offended. I'm talking about me. And fast forward to when I fixed it, I take pride in going to my appointments. I do two. That's by choice. I'll do a face-to-face, then I'll do a virtual. And I take pride in having a normal blood pressure, because that's not normal now, especially with us. I take pride in that. I take pride in, the aesthetics as well. I do. But I saw that there was a drastic difference in the physical part. Like, I see it now. And not too long ago, when I had got the kidney stones, every year After I got the kidney stones in Afghanistan, I used to have like ultrasound on my stomach because I didn't want them joints coming back. So I had my last appointment and they was like, you want to do this again? I said, you know what? Yeah. And I had the ultrasound and everything was good, man. Also, man, I know this is TMI, fellas after 40, you get that colon check. You can also, you can do that as often as you want. It's another nastier route. You can do what I just did, man. You mail off your boo-boo. What I did back, man, everything is good, man. 6 years after I did it the first time, go ahead on and mail off your boo-boo, man. They send you a package. Oh, it was disgusting. I didn't want to do it for a while. Like, what am I doing? But, I take pride in making sure that, my health is good to go. It's not for social media like that. Do I have the setup, the credentials, or a look to make it like my primary? I think so. But it ain't that. It's because I think people need to hear this stuff, man. The financial. Messing around, I could have took away my whole retirement and all those other benefits. That whole bag. Because of food. Liquor. Like it was close. I'm playing a dangerous game by trying to manipulate these fitness scores. I know I probably at that point in time I had the 3. Cause it's like you get 3, they get you up out of there. I know I did. But my mindset was, man, I'm a fitness leader. People better put my score in if they expect me to look out for them with these services. But also the most childish, mindset in the world. I know people that's bigger than me. What about them? What about them? You do that as an adult, you're lost out here. That's why some people don't believe in karma, man, right? They believe more in revenge. You can see, revenge, karma, it's going to happen. But if you're sitting there waiting for karma to happen to see it, they don't believe in it. No, it will, man. I firmly believe that what goes around comes around. But I was out here I could have messed up my whole way of life. I think about that because of me. And then fast forward, I specifically work on the military side of higher ed because one, it's free. I know how crippling student loan debt is. But 2, it has a fitness component attached to it. Does that mean that there are a lot of people that slide through those cracks? Yes. But if I'm talking about it, even though I'm not in anymore, it's my responsibility to make sure that I do it. I live by that. I was never an Army officer, but when I was the Army ROTC recruiter, I'm telling you, for me to give you this bag, this full ride scholarship, you got to pass this fitness test. I want you to believe that I would pass it as well. And there's been times that I would run like a mock one with the student. Tear their behinds up. Hey, them kids didn't stand a chance, man. They didn't stand a chance. But in my defense, that's how you know I'm about to say something completely outlandish and absurd. If I say in my defense. In my defense, man, they started it, which was true. I would have some of them kids, man, like when we would process them into the system, I would look at their birthday. And then I would be like, dang, you was born in, 2000 whatever. And they'd be like, yeah, when was you born? I'd be like 1979. They'd be like, dang, Dr. B, you old. You older than my daddy. And I'd be like, I bet your daddy don't look like me though. Then it would get awkward for them. Oh man. But they started it. I just finished it, man. So yeah, it can affect your finances. And then additionally, like if you just missing work all the time or you go to work and you wondering why you in a bad mood, I be thinking that stuff for me. Bad days are bad days, especially in the military. Bad days are worse days when you ain't got you in check. Like if you broke and you in shape, you broke, but you be like, man, well, at least I got these abs. When you broke and you fat, this is me speaking for me. You broke and you fat, you're like, damn, I'm broke and I'm fat. So yeah, man. Mental, emotional, physical, financial. It was 2 different versions of me, 2 different mindsets. And people be like, man, you don't ever forgive OU? There's nothing to forgive. I know what I was doing. I knew where I was at. And I think A lot of us know, but we be so worried about what people think, being judged. Then we don't even be wanting to pay attention to what's right there in front of us, knowing that we need to fix some stuff. That's why people like social media, they say people only post their highs. It might look like I'm doing that, but it also, you have to pay attention to what I'm showing you. I'm going to show you receipts. I was at them lows, man. I was at them lows and I just couldn't do it anymore, dude. So yeah, that's the message for today. I will run you through this core joint, but I'm tired, yo. I still got 2 more sets left.